Tonight, justice for Claire. The family of a woman killed by her partner in Shetland welcomed the conviction of her killer. Claire Levesque was stabbed to death by Aaron Pearson in February last year. He's been sentenced to life in prison.
Today we were able to get justice for Claire and hopefully start a new path in helping other victims suffering from domestic violence.
Also making the headlines, a retired teacher is convicted of historical abuse of vulnerable children at a former residential school in Angus. Survivors say their fight for recognition and an apology is only just beginning. Students tell STV News they're struggling to find affordable accommodation in Glasgow, but one community council claims student flat building is out of control. In sport, the games go on as Glasgow gets set to welcome next year's Commonwealth Games, confirmation of a host for 2030. And the unlikely friendship between a little boy and his bin men that's gone viral on social media. I'm Kellyanne Woodland. This is the STV News at 6. Good evening. The family of a woman who was murdered by her partner in Shetland say they finally have justice after her killer was sentenced to life in prison. Claire Levesque was stabbed to death by Aaron Pearson in a hot tub at his mother's home in Sandnes last February after they'd moved there from Canada. Passing sentence, Lord Arthurson described the murder as a crime of exceptional depravity. Lewis Mickey was in court.
Claire Levesque had her whole life ahead of her, but the 24-year-old's future was snatched away by someone she should have been able to trust most.
Hi, my name is Aaron Pearson.
Who are you?
I just killed my girlfriend in a hot tub in the garage at Ringville, the Annex, Sandnes.
What's your girlfriend's name?
Claire Levesque.
41-year-old Aaron Pearson, a fellow Canadian, stabbed Claire more than 20 times while she sat in a hot tub at the house they were sharing with Pearson's mother in remote Sandnes in Shetland. Claire's family travelled from Canada to watch every moment of the trial.
Today we were able to get justice for Claire and hopefully start a new path in helping other victims suffering from domestic violence and being able to move forward and come forward.
After attacking Claire, Pearson told hospital staff that he had stabbed himself in the neck, consumed brake fluid and had driven his car off a pier. He then returned home, where his mother was already on the phone to emergency services. Aaron Pearson told a 999 operator that he had definitely killed her. He made similar confessions both to police and to medics, and his mother Hazel told an operator that her son had done something really terrible. But regardless of this, Pearson came to court and claimed that Claire had stabbed herself. The jury didn't believe him. In fact, they reached a unanimous verdict of guilty, which Judge Lord Arthurson told Pearson could only mean life in prison.
Your own evidence was, in my view, a considered view, an exercise from start to finish in victim blaming, as you sought to denigrate, quite disgracefully, the character of Miss Levesque.
Pearson will now serve a minimum of 25 years behind bars. The detective who led the inquiry today praised the efforts of the first officers on the scene.
Particularly horrendous scene. There was those first at the scene there who made the arrest and tried life-saving efforts on Claire Levesque prior to the paramedics attending. They're to be commended for their actions in trying to save her life.
She was such a bubbly, fun girl who brought life to every room that she walked into, and I miss her terribly, but it's so nice that we can now move forward and just remember Claire instead of thinking of this awful incident.
Lewis Mickey, STV News at the High Court in Edinburgh.
A retired teacher has been convicted of the historical abuse of vulnerable children from Glasgow at a former residential school in Angus. Patricia Robertson force-fed, hit, shouted at, punched and kicked children at Fernethy House. The 77-year-old had denied all 25 charges she faced, but was found guilty of 18. Survivors of her abuse say their fight for recognition and an apology is only just beginning. A warning now that Ollie Dickinson's report contains descriptions of child abuse.
Justice after fighting for more than 5 decades. These women were all sent to Llanelli House in rural Angus as vulnerable children, but instead of finding care and support, they were horrifically abused by a woman who was supposed to be looking after them, Patricia Robertson, or Patricia Baxter, as she was then known. For most of their childhood and all of their adult lives, they have fought to be believed. Today, a jury did.
It means everything. I've waited 51 years for this. Just to see justice and for people to believe us. This fight has been on far too long, and we are just so grateful to get justice today.
It means the world. It means we've actually been believed. Because for this long, nobody was listening to us, and it's took all these years for it to get to court. It's had a big impact on me. 50 years this has been hanging over my head. And it's just good to finally be believed.
Kelly was abused when she was just 5 years old by Patricia Robertson. She was force-fed, had her head hit against a desk and was dragged by her hair.
I am an adult now. She held no horrors anymore for me. But you're back there. When you look at her, you're right back there being a wee child again. But today is victory. Victory.
Patricia Robertson had denied all the charges. She left court showing no remorse and offering no apology.
Ms. Robertson, do you have anything to say to the women that you abused as young girls? Do you have any apology to make to the victims of your abuse? Do you have anything to say to women that you abused, women that you shouted at, women that you assaulted as young, vulnerable girls? Do you have any regrets over your actions at all?
Hundreds more women say they were abused at Llanelli by others working there. For them, their fight for justice goes on.
We're ready and waiting for
Listen
it now.
up and do the right thing.
And we're never going to wait till we get a public apology. It was a scandal what happened to us. Girls from 5 to 11, and this is our story just getting told now.
Patricia Robertson will be sentenced in December. Ollie Dickinson, STV News at the High Court in Glasgow.
Construction of student flats in Glasgow is out of control. That's according to one community council who claimed the volume of purpose-built student accommodation is altering the balance of the city's population. There's been a boom in approvals by Glasgow City Council for the flats, including what will become the city's tallest building, standing 36 storeys high. Students have told STV News it's a struggle to find an affordable place to live and there needs to be greater supply. Vanessa Taff reports.
Alongside her studies, Lily Grace has worked hard to find a place to live. She's opted for a private rental over student halls, but both options have limited supply.
There's a lot of flats that aren't as nice that they're saying are like student friendly. So it's almost like because you're a student, they'll show you the ones that just aren't that nice. But I do think it's good for students to have more options of places to live that isn't private, or maybe it's within their price range.
The boom in Glasgow's student accommodation is set to change the city's skyline. A 36-storey skyscraper is underway in the Charing Cross area, which will see it become Glasgow's tallest building. Nearby, a 26-floor development is underway in Anderston. The former site of the iconic ABC music venue is going from a rite of passage for students to a place they now live. And in the West End, a car park will become flats. Another of many new purpose-built sites includes this one in the Merchant City. At least 40% of this part of town is predicted to house students.
It's got rather out of control. Within a few hundred metres of where we're standing just now, there are several projects. Glasgow City Council has been led up the garden path by developers trying to make a good buck.
With 250,000 people waiting for a social home, some feel that's where the focus should be.
By solving student accommodation problems, it does take that pressure off the private rented sector, but we absolutely also need to see a focus on building social homes. They are critical if Glasgow is to solve its housing emergency.
The council have built just over 1,000 affordable and social homes in the last year. Meanwhile, around 7,500 student beds have been approved for construction.
The only thing that the market is investing in is student accommodation, and as we've talked about with the rent controls and the housing bill, hopefully that sorts that all out and we get more investment and more interest in all tenures of building. I would love to see much more of that.
For students like Lily Grace, that building can't come soon enough.
So Vanessa, student accommodation won't be part of rent controls under the housing bill, will it? So what impact will this have on the market?
Well, when rent controls potentially come in, that might be until 2027, could find the position that student accommodation is actually more expensive than privately rented accommodation, and that's because the developers who are constructing these will be looking to make their money back on them, Kellyanne, so they'll be setting quite high rents. So that squeezes what is an already very tight rental market in a city like Glasgow.
It's a really long list already.
Exactly, a long list for social housing there as well too, and that could potentially push families onto social housing list, and we know that there's 250,000 people waiting on a social housing list. Scottish Government are certainly not building enough of that. It adds immense pressure onto that sector. It's all about balance as well, and finding that for the student population in Glasgow is as yet uncertain.
All right, Vanessa, look, thanks for joining us in the studio. Thank you. Now, household energy debt has hit an 8-year high, with the average home now owing more than £220 as we head into winter. The latest figures come as energy bosses were quizzed by MPs and warned bills are set to keep rising over the next 4 years. Our Westminster correspondent Paris Gertsianis was watching, and it was a worrying picture from the energy companies.
Absolutely, Kellyanne, especially if you're one of the growing number of people already in the red with your energy company just as the cold weather is about to arrive. The overall figure for energy debt is up by nearly a third just since last year. Today, energy bosses were asked by MPs why energy bills continue to rise, and the answer was pretty clear. They said it was the cost of net zero climate emissions targets. Not just the wind farms, the heat pumps, the solar panels that generate the electricity, but the power lines that get it from where it's generated to where it needs to be. And in the case of wind, that's often from Scotland to the rest of the UK.
Some of the modelling that we have suggests that you could get to a position by 2030 where if the wholesale price was zero, bills would still be the same as they are today.
The country as a whole at the moment is paying over £20 billion a year on their electricity bills for policy costs. Now, the projections are that that is going to increase. There is no budgetary control of this, and yet it all ends up on household bills or in contributing to making our electricity some of the most expensive in the industrialised world.
And what's been done to try to solve the problem for those in the greatest difficulty?
Well, it was interesting to hear the suggestions from these energy bosses, some of which were quite radical. Most said that the cost of net zero should be taken off electricity bills and paid for through taxes. Another idea was that the UK could create a strategic reserve of natural gas, basically fill up the tank when prices are low, draw it down when prices are high. It was suggested that could cut energy bills across the UK by £5 billion a year. And there was a lot of support for what's called the social tariff, basically where if you can't pay your energy bills, you don't, and those who are wealthier pay more. But the energy companies say they've been asking the UK government for the data on benefits and incomes that could make that system happen, and they haven't been getting it.
We could be proactive and targeted about supporting those customers instead of waiting for them to come to us or for us second guessing who might need an electric blanket to get them through the winter, who might need a payment holiday on their energy bill.
Energy debt is going to be reaching £5 billion by Christmas. It is out of control, completely out of control. And the reality is, as Chris highlighted, we have people today that cannot afford to pay for their energy bills at all. So a social tariff is a means to actually try and help us as we transition through.
Now, remember that Labour came to power promising that it would lower energy bills, but they've continued to rise. And this hasn't been the only bad news on the cost of living today. The Chancellor has admitted for the first time that taxes might have to rise as well as cutting spending at her budget next month. One of the taxes being talked about is VAT, which hits the poorest hardest at the tills.
All right, Paris, thank you. Residents in Argyll say they've been denied a chance to have their say over plans for a battery energy storage site. The firm behind the proposals in Tainault have appealed to the Scottish Government, overstepping calls for a local council hearing. Developers say the site, next to an electricity substation, could help to power up to 150,000 homes for 2 hours. However, locals have concerns over fire safety. Our reporter Tara Fitzpatrick has more.
Alec and Heather's dream of owning a croft in Tainault came true in 2022 when they purchased 14 acres of land. But their hopes to build a home here are now on hold after plans were submitted for a battery energy storage site directly in front of them.
Since come to light, so it's a bit of a shock to say the least to us, and it's obviously a shock to the wider community as well. We want to stay in this area. We love the area, we love the people here, we love the romance of this beautiful place. It's an amazing place.
The plans put forward in 2024 were set to go to a public meeting with Argyll and Bute Council last month, but the firm have now appealed directly to the Scottish Government for approval, bypassing local decision makers.
It's really put a blight on it, really. The hardest thing to swallow is the fact that we were going through the process and we'd had councils meetings, and that had been put on hold for the councils to come out here and have a look at and have another meeting, a public meeting, and that's been taken away from us.
Over 130 people voiced objections to the site at a recent public meeting.
I've lived in the area for over 20 years. We run some small holiday home units. The problem for us is our future sustainable? Is our income stream sustainable, overlooking an industrial site?
The people in Tainault are not against renewables. They're not even in principle against the idea of battery storage schemes. But because of the safety element, it has to be in the right place. The thing I've researched a lot is the fire safety, because I think that is the biggest concern.
Should they be right next to a village of 1,000 people where there's the inherent danger that poses, or should they go somewhere a bit more remote?
The Scottish Fire Service isn't a consultee on the plans, but says it engages where asked about road access and water supplies. Over 250 battery energy storage sites are either operating or have been granted approval across the country. Scottish Government ministers say they're key to harnessing green energy.
So as a Green Councillor, I of course support the journey towards net zero and the infrastructure needed to get us there. I think it has to be acknowledged, though, that there are very valid safety concerns. This is, as far as I'm aware, an unprecedented case in Argyll and Bute, whereby the applicant has actually received notice that they will have a public hearing and then applied for non-determination. And so it's my opinion that that entirely undermines the democratic view and voices of the elected members on that committee.
It's one of very, very many applications we're seeing coming through the system. We're having a look at it at the moment, and we've seen that around 3 times as many are going through the planning system at the moment as is projected we need. And what we're calling for is a more strategic approach to say where should these be and how big should they be, rather than just a scattergun they just get wherever a developer feels that they can get an application in.
The Scottish Government said it could not comment on a live planning application. Downing Renewable Development said they've collaborated with the local community and plans have been designed in accordance with the relevant safety standards. But for those with the plans on their doorstep, the future is now a waiting game. Tara Fitzpatrick, STV News, Tainault.
OK, let's get all your sport now with Ronnie.
Your window to sport. CR Smith sponsors STV Sport.
Good evening. We start with some big news on the future of the Commonwealth Games, and it's been confirmed the 2030 edition of the event will go ahead in 4 years' time and is set to be heading to India. Commonwealth Sport today confirming it will be recommending the city of Ahmedabad as the proposed host of the 2030 Games, a return to the country after hosting in New Delhi in 2010. It will also be a significant milestone for the Games, marking a centenary for the event, first held in 1930 in Hamilton, Canada. Well, today, as part of the countdown to the Glasgow Games in a local indoor bowling club, a world record was achieved as Commonwealth athletes and some famous faces came together for the largest ever bowls lesson, and we were lucky enough to head along and take part. Ready, set, bowl, as Glasgow 2026 ticks closer The sport of bowls is hitting new heights in Scotland, with more than 100 bowlers aging from 1 to 90. The largest bowling lesson in the world took place at the West of Scotland Indoor Club in Glasgow. Introduce us, please, if you would.
This is Eden.
And Eden is?
She is nearly 1 year old next week.
So the youngest bowler on the green, obviously.
I think so, yeah, breaking records.
And I hear you two are sharks, Karen. How good are you at all game of bowls?
Not very. That's why I'm here to learn at the lessons. But it is good to see all the different age groups.
Tell the camera your full name.
Yvonne Bowler.
There you go, folks. Yvonne Bowler. Bowling by name, bowling by nature?
Yes, partly, yes.
Bowls, of course, is one of the great hopes for these games, with Scotland set to continue the proud history of success at the Commonwealths. And one medal hopeful kept a close eye on today's proceedings. We're joined now by Commonwealth athlete Stuart Anderson. You're in charge today. You're the head coach. How's it going so far?
Yeah, it's been going really well. It's actually nice to see a lot of kids here as well and enjoying themselves, and actually get to see Finney as well.
In terms of the Commonwealth Games, it's a huge sport for us in Scotland, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and it's absolutely brilliant to have it back in Glasgow as well, to replicate it 2014. So yeah, it's going to be a wonderful game, and I just wish all the spectators come out in force to support us.
And as Glasgow once again gets set to take centre stage as the world comes calling, one famous Glaswegian is confident the city will be ready.
The fact that we're able to host games like this is the legacy of what happened in 2014. And that this is a very friendly and warm city, and I know that Glaswegians will embrace everybody coming here. Maybe a bit too closely at times, over too many drinks, but as long as they make them welcome, that's the most important thing.
World record achieved, and with many stepping onto the green for the first time, Glasgow 2026 may just be the beginning as Scotland look to bowl over the competition for years to come. To football now, and after Derek McInnes committed his future to Hearts amid speculation about the Rangers job, the Tynecastle boss says his side will need to up their standards if they want to remain at the top of the table. The Gorgie side are 2 clear of Celtic at the summit of the Premiership and are yet to taste defeat in the league. They travel to third place Kilmarnock on Saturday evening.
We will need to improve if we're going to try and maintain levels where we're at. And I've said this often enough, the next little block of games, we try to work international break. If we continue to improve and have that fight with ourselves to improve, then I'm confident we've got the potential to keep winning games and hopefully keep ourselves up the top end of the table.
Finally tonight, I don't have 100% to give anymore. Those are the words of former Olympic and Commonwealth medalist Jack Carlin after announcing his retirement from cycling. In a glittering career, the rider from Paisley represented Team GB and, of course, Team Scotland, winning countless medals, and says it was a difficult decision to hang up his bike just before next year's home Commonwealth Games.
He's worn the saltire with pride. But now, professional cycling is in Jack Carlin's rear-view mirrors. After nearly a decade at the top of the sport, the 28-year-old has called time on his career, but is confident he's made the right decision.
The sport that I'm in, you can win or lose by 1,000th of a second. And you have to be 100% there and ready to give it your all. And the truth is, I've not got 100% to give anymore. I don't have the motivation and the desire to do that.
And this is the medal-laden career he leaves behind. A 2-time Olympic silver and Olympic bronze medalist, he also won 2 Commonwealth silvers and a bronze, as well as countless world and European medals. But with the Commonwealth Games next year coming back to Scotland, was Carlin tempted to make Glasgow 2026 his swan song?
To go to Glasgow with a Scotland flag on my back, I would have to have known that I'd gave 100% going into it and confident that I was going to do the jersey justice and myself justice. And I think at this time I don't have that. So I'm hopefully going to be inspired by the next generation of cyclists and see what they can do.
Finlay Jack, STV Sport.
Your window to sport. C.R. Smith sponsors STV Sport.
That's your sport tonight, Kellen. What a day I had at the bowls this morning.
Well, we know you love your bowls, Roy.
Fantastic. What a day I had, folks. That's all from me.
Thanks, Rory. All right, well, it's time for us to get the weather now, and I'm getting a bit sick of this, Sean. Another day stuck under this cloud.
I know it is. It's just stuck under the cloud. Anticyclonic gloom again. But anticyclonic glee for some of us. All you had to do today, Kelly, was just get yourself across the Kincardine Bridge or the Queensferry Crossing because, well, Fife, what a day we've had here. We've been right in the back edge of that cloud, enjoying that lovely sunshine. Also Stirling getting into the sun a little bit earlier on this afternoon. Not just eastern parts of the country, north of the cloud, Fort William, Malik enjoying the sunshine earlier on, but with the clear skies tonight, a chilly one for some of us. Let's have a look.
An icy start to the day will give way to a series of oohs and ahs. TUI sponsors STV Weather.
So unfortunately for us, we've been under that area of cloud whilst further east across Fife and especially further north, Stirlingshire and across Perthshire, enjoying lovely blue skies through much of the day. That does mean tonight the clearest spells will still be in northeastern parts, and that's why you've got that little blue shade, very, very light blue shade in some spots during tonight. But here, 8-9 degrees Celsius largely in the west, staying on that milder side with the cloud. Low spots, Stirlingshire, Perthshire, maybe even parts of South Lanarkshire tonight, down to lows of about 4 or 5 degrees Celsius. A bit of a chilly night to come in some spots, especially in Stirlingshire, and the risk again of a few mist and fog patches developing in 1 or 2 of our glens. So tomorrow morning, well, not much change compared to today. Again, the further west, that's where we're most likely to hang on to more cloud through the day. Argyll and Bute across much of Ayrshire. Broken cloud hopefully across Renfrewshire tomorrow and Glasgow, and Bartonshire hopefully see a wee bit more sunshine around here. But the most favoured areas again for the best of the sunshine will be a bit further east. Tomorrow your top temperatures going up to 13 degrees Celsius in that sunshine, with the light winds again feeling pleasant enough but cooler where we've got that cloud. Friday you get switch the wind directions round. It's more of an easterly, which does mean hopefully Argyll and Bute and maybe Ayrshire will see a few breaks in the cloud cover on Friday. Saturday things start to change. We'll see some rain coming into the west, but rain spreading to all parts by the end of Sunday. Bye-bye.
TUI sponsors STV Weather.
And finally, 9-year-old Jax Robertson from Greenock has become a viral sensation after striking up an unlikely friendship with his local bin men. Videos shared by his mum on social media have documented the pair baking treats for them, and Jax has even earned a kindness award for his efforts. Iona Brownlee has more.
It's Wednesday. What treats has Jax made for the bin men today?
It all started with a wave from the window. That led to an unlikely friendship. 9-year-old Jax has become a TikTok sensation for the weekly treats he gives to his local bin men in Greenock. He then helps Brian and David to empty his bins before sending them off with a high five.
It's quite good because he started originally, he would only stand at the window waving at them, and then each kind of week he would just get closer and closer to them, and now he's built up this amazing relationship because he does struggle in social settings, so he struggles to make friends or talk to new people, so it's been so nice just to see him come out his shell. Now he's quite confident with them. I don't have a shell. Every Wednesday my son makes the bin men a little treat.
Nice certificate for you. And our pride acknowledges the kindness of Jax.
His generosity has seen him recognised by the council's provost, and he even got to visit the bin lorry depot.
Can you tell me why you got a kindness award?
Because I was nice to the bin men. You were nice to the bin men.
And how were you nice to the bin men?
What did you give them? Give them food to fill their tummies up. That's right, food to fill their tummies.
How does that make you feel?
Happy, happy, happy.
In return, Brian, David and the rest of the crew gifted Jax his own number plate. They say the treats are a warm show of community and lifts their spirits during the early morning call.
He's a wee guy and he's bringing lots of attention to our people and our bin men as well. But not so much in our pride, but throughout the country. And everybody deserves a wee bit of kindness, and everybody's in a rush these days, so there's not a lot of community anymore. So when you get a nice wee bit of community, it's a nice thing to have, it's a nice thing to share. So.
And when he grows up, Jax hopes to be just like them. Iona Brownlee, STV News, Greenock.
A wee superstar. Well, that's all we have time for this evening, but we're back again tomorrow. From all of us here, enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye-bye.